All right, here we are with field notes on goal setting, part one. These are down to earth leadership conversations. Trevor and I are going to unpack some of what makes good goals, how to set good goals, maybe what holds us back. We're going to do this over a multi part series. So buckle up, get ready for the conversation. Trevor, we were just talking before this. I think it's fascinating that 50 years ago, a management course in an MBA would tell managers not to set goals. They would say the best thing to do is tell your people to do the best that you can, and that's what will get you performance. And really, in the early 1980s, two researchers, Locke and Latham, came up with this idea that actually goals are good. They started testing them on loggers and saying, like, we want you to get this much timber cut in this amount of time, instead of saying do the best that you can. And since then, by 1990, I'm reading one of their articles. There have been like 350 empirical studies, many of them in the field, which is uncommon for a theory. Usually it's kind of like concocted, weird tests that people do. These are in the field, watching actual organizations, 40,000 participants over these some 400 studies show that goal setting works, creates better outcomes, more effectiveness in organizations if you set good goals. So yeah, how do you set a good goal? We have so many ways to go. I'm going to turn it over to you and see where you want to start.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And it's, as you look into and throw out the prospect of back in the, 50 years ago, um, goals weren't good. And, I hadn't thought about this until just now when you were putting it out there. And like the people in society back then were way different than they are today, and a different understanding of what was intrinsically motivating and what they did and those sorts of things. So that might be something that would be, again, that's for a different conversation, but fun to dig into later on of how does society back then versus society today or in the 80s or 90s play into that. Is it the people were more um, goal oriented individually back then and they didn't need a goal, they tried to push themselves harder, or what, again, just something, yeah, it's
Well,
kind of interesting now that you put that out there.
that's a cool thread to pull, because I wonder if in different cultures it's different. And when we can afford a fact checker, we will get one. And he or she will go and look up. I'm guessing that they've tested this theory across multiple cultures and it's held firm. And I would also say, like, the moment when people were teaching that is the moment when they started these studies, and they found legitimately, like, right then, people did better with goals. I think there's some personality aspect too. Like, I know type B kind of people, and I frankly envy them. They just seem to enjoy life more, and they don't have goals. They're just like, yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm like, wow, my goal is to have a great time by Sunday at noon, and it doesn't happen. Right? It's like ironic trying to set a goal to have a great time. So I think there's some personality. One thing I was
Yeah.
really thinking about this morning that I want to get your QA, your sanity check on. I think setting good goals, you can set all kinds of, I want to lose 20 pounds. It's an okay goal. We can talk about why it may or may not be good. Really great goals, you have to start with vision. You have to start with, like, what does the future look like? And that we can unpack that. That's tough to do. And then you have to have a strategy. Like, how am I going to get there? And that excludes a lot of options. So we were joking before, like, if you want to lose weight, being an Epicurean, probably, like, you can't make both of those goals come true. It would be really hard to taste lots of different foods and lose weight. You have to pick one. So you have to choose, and by definition, cut out other options. Then you start making a plan. Then you start making goals. And then I really want to dig into James Clear and his book, Atomic Habits, with you. Then you need the systems to back up this goal. So there are, like, lots of layers and levels to this. And a lot of times we're just like, oh, yeah, like, set a SMART goal and you'll do better. I think you lose a lot when you have that really surface level understanding of goals and you're not fitting them into that process. What do you think?
Yeah, I think again, what we came back to multiple times on a couple of the other discussions that we've had is personal values and things that are meaningful to you, right? Like I think that's probably when I came to the realization as I dig into this more and start to understand it more and pull back, pull on various threads, but like that is truly like the essence of a goal, of a good goal. Um, and it again depends on what context you're looking at. Like a good personal goal might not be a good for the business, or a good business goal might not be good for the person. But as far as a goal goes, like as long as it's meaningful to whoever is establishing it, it aligns with your values, and I would say it has a positive impact. Like that to me is a good goal. Like it could be a goal for 5 minutes from now, or it could be a goal 20 years from now. It's still a good goal because it has those things, but there are also other aspects of it that I think need to be considered. It's that constant balance that we're having to do with everything. Is like you said, if you want to be an Epicurean, weight loss problem, like which one's more important? There's a trade-off for each of those things as you're going forward. And what is your goal, to be healthy in the moment, healthy and happy and enjoy it in the moment, or is it long term? Like when you were talking about those people, the type, like that just seem to be happy all the time and just flow through life, where you got your goals, like gotta do this thing, gotta do this thing. It makes me think about any of the people throughout history that have accomplished amazing things, right? You got whether it's art, Van Gogh, or any of those, or anybody at the top of their field. You look at what they were able to accomplish, and it's absolutely phenomenal, and they've contributed so much. But a lot of times the rest of their life was falling apart. Like it's that one thing that they were amazing at, and that they had that vision and that true passion to drive them. But if you were to look at them holistically, you'd be like, oh boy, you definitely not want financial advice or anything else from those individuals, because they were so focused, on that one aspect of their life. So, that could have been a great goal setting, but it was detrimental to health, relationships, finances, all those other things. So it's that constant balance of what really is it, what's your vision for that particular piece. What do you think?
So I gotta just throw out, maybe there's hope if you're like a vegan Epicurean. Like maybe, and I think, like, I laugh because we just always want to merge. Like, well, I don't want to cut any options off the table. So maybe and what we end up with is middle of the road goals that are not strategically sound and mediocre progress. But I think you nailed it when you said it starts at values. And I literally, like, that's on the top of my list and I forgot. Like, creating a vision without understanding your values is foolish, frankly. Like, if you don't know what you stand for, who you want to be, what are you doing? So it might be worth us digging into values a little bit. And I also want to throw out this idea of identity goals that James Clear uses. And I think it's fantastic. Like, you can set goals all day, New Year's resolution. Most of the people who watch this probably have one or two, or closet have them and won't admit it. I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year. And evidence shows that that will not happen. Like, we just fail to do it. If instead you use an identity goal and you say, I want to be the type of person that works out regularly, you'll lose more than 20 pounds because you'll go work out regularly. You'll start to enjoy it. It'll be part of your identity. You couldn't imagine a Monday morning without a quick run, because that's who you are. And that goes right back up to, what are the values? What do I care about? I care about being fit and able to do fun things with my kids when I'm older. I care about doing athletic things outdoors, all these things. So we teach values all the time, pretty much every event. Clients are like, yeah, but can we do values? And like, yes, that's included. Like, that's always, we do that every time. Where do you start? What do you think about, like, if someone's trying to set really good goals for 2026 or for the next 10 years or whatever, how do they figure out what their values are so they can create the vision, strategy, plan, goals all the way down?
Yeah, I know. One thing that always helps me is like just sitting down and thinking through, like, if nothing was tied, if it wasn't tied to a financial gain, or if it wasn't tied to some sort of an extrinsic reward. We talked about motivation last month, but if it wasn't tied to that, like what would you truly do? What would you prioritize? Would you prioritize people? Even if, even if prioritizing people takes away from financial gain. If that's a no, then people aren't your value. You don't value people. You value that monetary gain, that financial gain. Um, so going through and just truly sitting down, like if you had no vested interest from a job aspect or any of those things, what truly would it mean? And then give yourself an audit and test those things and say, okay, well, if something came along and forced me to choose one over the other, what what would I actually go with? Like everybody says integrity, right? Integrity is one of my favorite ones. You and I both love it because of like military backgrounds, and everybody has it as a value. But when it comes down to it, and somebody's looking at, ooh, if I do that, if I do the right thing in this instance, it's going to cost the company $10 million, or kind of budget and get by, and we'll make profit and we'll do those sorts of things. Well, we're going to sacrifice that. Like that truly is the value in your company. If you say, nope, I'm going to take $10 million hit because this is who we are. Number
Yeah,
one, you're going to
it's an
only attract
identity.
the people that you want. Yeah, that's your identity.
That's an organizational identity goal. I Yeah, I don't like integrity as a value because most people don't even have a definition for it. It's like some nebulous, like I'm kind of honest. And to pull that string, if your identity as an organization is we have integrity and you lose the $10 million, you might get $100 million contract with another company who sees that and says like these people are going to do what they say they're going to do and they're going to make the right ethical decision and we don't have to worry about it, right? Like you never know. It's hard when it's like that short term. Oh, I'm losing $10 million. Maybe I should make a shady choice. You never know. There are two values assessments that I like for different reasons. One is the values in action. Seligman and positive psychology, very much about character. So integrity, I think, would be one. Leadership's in there. Appreciation of beauty. All these character traits that are strong or less strong for people, and none of them are like right answers. It's not like, well, if you get these five, you're a great leader. Like who knows? But they do drive your behavior, and Angela Duckworth, I think, says it best. Like your character in act or your values in action is your character, right? So like you say this is my value, and then you do the thing repeatedly over time. It comes straight from Aristotle. What you think, say, do over time, those become your habits. That's who you are, your character. The other one is Values Bridge. Is pretty new. Susie Welch just got like 70,000 people have taken it. Very popular. And she says like that's all wrong. It has nothing to do with character. It's like, do you like money or fame or beauty or you're like, and they're not bad things. She's very much like it's not bad to like money. I don't think money is a value. I think money is a means to an ends, and the end is the value. Probably, if I ever get on a podcast with her, we'll debate that one. Um, what do you think? Like, where do you sit on those two? Are they both valuable? Is one more valuable than the other? Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think, as you probably determined in our conversations, I like to do both. Yeah, both of them are probably valuable at some point in time. And what I think about initially is your values and your actions and those sorts of things. Like, that's great. And yes, it builds a consistency, but crisis, I think, is really where it comes in. Like when we'll use, you know, um, say 9/11, right? If your company is rolling along and everything's going great, you're living your values and all those sorts of things, and all of a sudden, 9/11 happens, COVID happens, those sorts of things, and you're either going to go under, or you're going to make some modifications, and like what is it? I'm trying to remember the book, but one of the crucibles of leadership is basically what it was. Like those times are the ones that your values are truly going to come.
Yeah.
Um, and it's one of those that in the military side, so we train all the time. And we train for as younger in my career when I was an infantryman and then a combat engineer. You train for combat, like that's what you do. But the reality is you still don't know exactly how you're going to react until that first bullet goes whizzing by you. And then magically, like when it's real, like maybe you'll have the same reaction that you did initially, but maybe you won't. And like those, in training, because like this is the real deal.
So
And
I'm
that's,
gonna
I
I'm
think
gonna
go ahead.
I got to push back or reframe. I'm not sure which one it is. I'm curious what you think here. I think the devil's in the details. And I read something somewhere. I think maybe in one of General McChrystal's books. Like as an Army Ranger, and I have no idea. I flew helicopters. It was way more fun than whatever they do. Um, as an Army Ranger, like you always put this piece of gear right here on this pack. You always put this, like you pack your pack exactly the same every single time. And it's annoying, it's frustrating. You get yelled at when your socks are above your underwear when they're supposed to be under them. But then you don't think about it in combat. Like it's not a crucible, like, oh my gosh, I'm actually getting shot at. What will I do now? It's just like, oh yeah, this is what we do. So that company that gets confronted with the ethical dilemma, if they consistently over time act with integrity, act in accordance with their values, do the right thing by their shareholders and stakeholders, avoid illegal actions. They're not like, oh, like this is kind of it's not that big of a deal, like sliming around. Then when the crucible comes, it's not even a decision. Like it's actually easier. It's like, oh, this is super clear. Like people are dying in 9/11. We're going to do the right thing. Um, so I don't know. What do you think? Like that discipline over time, the values and action become your character, then it's a no-brainer when something really hard, and that takes time. So like if you haven't gone through ranger training and then you get shot at, like yes, that is going to clarify your values really fast. But if you have the full pipeline of ranger training, it should be like a non-issue when you get shot at because you just have drilled it in so much. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because we'll use the business context, right? As a business, you say you do these things, but there's always that individual impact that goes into it. Like, even if a company lives those values and tries to do those sorts of things, like when it starts to hit individual people, like it could end up falling apart. There's that agency. Um, I look at the external factors. Like whether the company lives its values or not, do the actual people that are in the company when they're away from the business, they can be, hopefully they're aligned with the company, which is why they work there. But too often we know that people take jobs simply because it's better pay stub or more flexible time or those sorts of things, and their personal life doesn't really align with the company's values at all. And then, whether the CEO and the leadership within the company, yeah, they can withstand it because they truly believe like they're invested 100%, but the employees aren't invested 100% in those values. Then it really comes down to, can they hold everybody and have them toe that line in those crisis situations? I don't know. It's an interesting
Yeah,
concept.
I think it's kind of the same, right? Like untrained ranger versus a fully pipeline trained ranger. I think we're talking about culture here. Like if you have a robust, positive culture that you've developed over time, people in that company are going to say things like, "People us don't do things like that. People like us always do this." And so again, and I think we're dancing around this idea of habits. And that's really critical to goals. Like you set goals, if you don't have systems and habits to back them up, like you're just not going to do it, right? If your goal is to lose weight, you need to create a habit of going to the gym and a habit of eating healthy and a habit of not eating chocolate cake every night right before you go to bed. And if you don't have those habits, it won't happen. So for a successful company, you need these collective habits. People like us do things like this, which is really to me culture. The culture, you could reframe it as collective habits. So there's going to be some spread, right? Like you're always hiring and firing, and there's turnover, and brand new employees might be like, "Whoa, but we're going to lose $10 million if we do it that way." And seasoned employers be like, "Yeah, people like us don't take shortcuts for $10 million. We'll make it up in the next several years or whatever." What do you think?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you brought up James Clear because as I was driving back to DC last week, I actually was listening to a podcast that had he and Shane Parrish on the Knowledge Project, right, going through a lot of this stuff, talking about habits and those sorts of things and the identity. Um, so, being a person that runs and tying this all back together with goals and what people are doing right now with trying to get in shape. Um, you know, I've got a goal that is meaningful to me. It's not very specific. I said I want to look at circadian rhythm and see about if I can what adhering to the 12-hour eating cycle for circadian rhythm does for me. I have another goal, like I want to do more yoga, but I don't have time and what that actually means. But it is interesting, like in the discussion that Clear was having, he was talking about one of his clients that goes to the gym every day, even if he only goes there for 5 minutes. Like he'll show up to the gym just because he's going to the gym. Um, to me, and again, this is where it comes down to your personal values and what you think. Like to me, that seems a little ridiculous um, that you go to the gym versus just taking some small action. And this is, maybe comes back to the book Switch, where you just take small steps. You set the environment in order to do those sorts of things. And if you're somebody that hasn't worked out, driving to the gym just to go to the gym, it might have, somebody might have to do that, right? Or, is it just getting out of bed and doing one push up, one squat? And guess what? That one thing is more than you did yesterday, right? And you are better for it. So is how much of that do you want to take on and grab as a goal? If you have, you come up with your SMART goal, which is what we've been taught to do our entire lives growing up, and you say, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to, put on 10 pounds of muscle by June, right? If you don't make that goal, right, you feel bad. But in the process of trying to achieve that goal, you've made yourself better. So it's all perspective and how you frame those things. And I think sometimes the specific goals can kind of if we have consistent failure over the years, we get averse to it and we try not to set goals at all. Whereas if you achieve them, it builds. Like it's going to snowball and you're going to want to do it all the time with goals. I like to have open goals for myself, and that's where it comes down to each individual person of what is a good goal. I don't know. Hey, what's a good goal for you?
We
Right?
gotta
But as
talk
long,
about this next time.
yeah,
Well, for the record, James Clear's book Atomic Habits. When I read that title, I was like, oh, like going nuclear with your goals. And no, he means like literally tiny atom-sized steps, which makes a lot of sense. Trevor, I think you are a uncommonly intrinsically motivated person, and so open goals work for you because you have that intrinsic motivation. Like, I'm going to try yoga. It's going to be cool. I'm going to enjoy it. Whereas more extrinsically motivated people, or frankly, like if I'm trying to do something for the company I work for, it might just be extrinsic. Like I need to make more money. I want to have status because I accomplished whatever. I think goal setting really works well in an extrinsic place. Intrinsic, you don't need it. Like open goal, I like that term. You don't need like a hardcore goal because Like I'm trying to learn the piano. It's fun. I'm learning something. I sit down for 10 minutes every evening. I try to play over the kids screaming and playing on the other end of the piano. It's fun. I have no goal. Like I'm not like I have to play this song by January, like all the smart goals. Anyway, I think motivation, what's the role, is a really good one. And then why don't goals work is another great thing to talk about in the next conversation. Um, 60 to 90 seconds. What's your recap of this conversation? What are the key takeaways for you?
Really, that there's, I would say that, lots of stuff is context dependent. What years ago we started out, we said goals are bad. Uh, and now as we're going forward, we're looking and saying goals are good. Um, Context shifts a lot of stuff. What we understand today isn't what we're going to understand tomorrow. I think goals and goal setting is extremely important for each individual to take a true look at, and ultimately, like your values and who you are as a person, and then you can correlate it to as an organization. Those are the things that are going to make goals successful, probably or not, and meaningful. Um, but don't be too tied to it. Like flexibility. Flexibility is a big one for me as well. So I think that's kind of where I saw this conversation going today.
Yeah, I want to plus one that context, personality aspect of goals is going to be different for everyone. We talked about today, goal setting is one of the few theories that science just really agrees on. Like it's been tested and retested hundreds and hundreds of times with tens of thousands of people. Goal setting creates better outcomes for organizations, for people, at least in specific contexts, which we'll talk more about probably in the next episode here. Um, Trevor brought us back to values. To set great goals, you have to be clear on your values, where you want to go, your vision, and then you can funnel down your strategy, your plan, your goals. And then we talked a lot about systems and identity goals. If you don't have, like, this is the type of person I want to be, and you don't have, I'm going to get in the car and go to the gym every day, no matter what type systems in place. The goals are just things we write down on paper that may or may not work. You have to have the underlying system to make those work. So I think the values really stood out to me. Get clear on your values. Without those, you're just going to be muddling around making mediocre goals that are going to give you mediocre results. That's our field notes for today. Down to earth conversations. Trevor, I appreciate your time and thoughts as always. I look forward to the next conversation on motivation and goals. Probably.
Absolutely appreciate it, Nate.